Today I am going to teach students about monarch butterflies. So to begin, if I were to teach this to a actual class, I would have the students all sit on the floor and I would ask them, what is an insect? They would give me a description of what they think that insect is, and then I'd have them maybe think about what kind of insects would live in our schoolyard. Before they would sit down, before they even would sit down for the group, I would have them grab their science notebooks, and then I'd give them a minute or two to think about what they think an insect is, write down their answers, and then have them write down what an insect might live in the schoolyard, things like that. When they're done creating their own list and their definition, we'd come back together and I would have them tell me what they came up with. I can use this format to jot down the list of insects that the students came up with. If I had a smartboard in my classroom, I could write the lists down as the students shouted out answers, things like that. I really thought this was helpful, this grid that I found, and because sometimes it's hard to understand what an insect is versus a bug versus an arachnid. So I really liked this characteristic or this grid because a bug is an insect, but not every insect is a bug. For example, a bug has hardened forewings, they have no teeth, they have a straw-shaped mouth for sucking juices from plants, and they only have one set of wings. Whereas an insect has three bodies, or three parts to their body, the head, the thorax, and the abdomen, and they have two pairs of wings, three pairs of legs, antenna, and then they have teeth. And an arachnid has 8 legs, no wings, no antenna. These would be spiders. If I had more time, I'd go into what a life cycle is. For example, a butterfly goes through complete metamorphosis. That means all 4 steps of this metamorphosis, this change, starting with an egg, going into a larva, a caterpillar, then into the cocoon, which is when they end up in the adult. Whereas a bug doesn't go through all 4 stages, they only go through 3. They go through the egg, the larva, the caterpillar, and then they turn into the adult. Whereas an arachnid lays eggs, and then they can either lay an egg or they can bear live young. So I also really wanted to put in some different species of each examples because I know for myself I like to have examples so I can better comprehend what that might entail. Next, I would put this checklist on the smartboard or have it posted around the room so that the students can have an idea of what they might have seen. Then I would have them split up into pairs, or if they were assigned to tables, and have different magazines, books, or newspapers on each table so that these kids could go through and look for differences and similarities between the different bugs that they might have seen or recognized, especially that are around Minnesota or Wisconsin. Then we would come back and I could split this screen into 2 parts, similarities and some differences, and then have the kids tell me what they found, and maybe I could come up with ideas to get the ball rolling to help them understand. And then I kind of wanted to end the session on butterflies and how butterflies are insects. So maybe give them a minute and partner share to figure out how a monarch is an insect. I could bring back up the grid of what an insect looks like, and they can use whatever they need to help them figure out if a monarch is an insect, whether that be a book, using the internet, things like that, giving them 4 to 5 minutes maybe to just figure this out. Then I would want to show them this life cycle of a monarch video. For the sake of time, I am going to just cut the video short. However, I found this video to be really helpful. I do really well watching videos instead of just listening. I am a very very much a visual learner. So then when the video is done, I would have 3 options for the students to create the life cycle of a monarch butterfly. Beforehand, I would cut out different life cycle cards in order and then kind of scramble them up, and then depending on what the students want to do, I would hand them either life cycle cards, or I'd have them draw the life cycle in their science notebooks, or use a paper plate to divide it into 4 quadrants and then have them create the life cycle that way. And then those are my resources.